Chapter 1. The Brain Rewired, How Change Starts Inside. You are not born with a finished brain. It's easy to imagine that the way you think, react, or feel is simply who you are. But the truth is far more empowering. Your brain is not a static machine. It's a living, changing, evolving system. And what it becomes depends almost entirely on what you repeatedly feed it. From childhood into adulthood and far beyond, your brain rewires itself based on your experiences, thoughts, emotions, and even your intentions. This process, known as neuroplasticity, is the key to breaking free from every perceived mental limitation. What you repeat, you reinforce. What you practice, you become. Your beliefs, behaviors, habits, and even your identity are not fixed. They're sculpted by attention and repetition. For centuries, we thought the brain was like a finished puzzle. Once completed in early life, it simply stayed the same. This outdated belief limited human potential. It told people they were either smart or not, disciplined or not, capable or not. But recent neuroscience has dismantled that story. The brain doesn't freeze at a certain age. It responds to what you do, feel, and think constantly. Every second of every day, it's reshaping itself. The patterns you follow form the pathways you walk. But here's the crucial truth. Those pathways can be changed. New ones can be created. Old ones can fade. Let's take something simple. Imagine you've always thought of yourself as someone who procrastinates. Over the years, you've told yourself that story so often, it became a core belief. Every time you delayed something important, you unintentionally reinforced it. Eventually, that belief stopped being a thought. It became a truth, deeply embedded in your neural wiring. But beliefs like this aren't truths. They're patterns. And patterns can be rewired. The process begins with awareness. You have to catch the old program running. The moment you notice yourself saying, "I always procrastinate," you interrupt the loop. That moment is gold. It's a signal that your conscious mind is waking up to the automatic habits your subconscious has kept alive. Once you bring a pattern into awareness, it's no longer in full control. Changing your brain doesn't require huge leaps. It requires consistency. Small, repeated changes carry far more weight than a single moment of effort. Your brain builds its structure like a trail in the woods, one step at a time. If you walk the same trail daily, it becomes clearer, easier, and faster. If you stop using a path, it grows over and fades. This is how mental habits are formed and also how they're broken. You don't need to fight who you are, you just need to reroute what you practice. And what you practice is more than physical behavior. Your thoughts are practices too. When you think negatively about your ability, judge yourself harshly, or imagine failure, you are rehearsing a state of limitation. Your brain doesn't distinguish between real and vividly imagined experiences. What you rehearse internally begins to feel real externally. That's why intention and imagination are so powerful. When you imagine success vividly and often, your brain prepares for that reality as if it were already happening. Neural circuits fire as though you're already succeeding. The body follows. This isn't wishful thinking, it's training. Training your mind means replacing automatic mental habits with conscious ones. It means being selective with what you think, what you expose yourself to, and how you respond to inner dialogue. The stories you tell yourself matter. They are not reflections of who you are, they are instructions to your brain about who to become. And just like your physical body needs nourishment, your mind needs the right environment to thrive. Every stimulus you allow into your daily experience, conversations, media, routines, has the power to either wire your brain toward growth or stagnation. If your surroundings are filled with distractions, negativity, or chaos, your brain adapts accordingly. If your environment encourages focus, inspiration, and learning, your brain begins to rise to that standard. This means growth is not just about effort, it's about design. You don't just try to be better. You set up your life in a way that supports better thinking. Start by observing your mental inputs. What do you watch? Who do you listen to? What fills your time when you're not working or focused? Every bit of input reinforces a direction. If you want to rewire your brain for higher clarity, courage, creativity, and resilience, Your mental environment needs to reflect those values. The most effective way to change your brain is to combine awareness with repetition. Choose a pattern that aligns with the person you want to become, then practice it daily. Visualize the outcome, feel the emotion connected to it, and embody it even before the result arrives. When you reinforce these states repeatedly, your brain eventually normalizes them. What once felt uncomfortable becomes second nature. Let's talk about emotion for a moment. Emotion is a chemical signal that marks importance. Your brain remembers experiences that carry strong emotional energy, good or bad. That's why traumatic events can become deeply embedded and why moments of joy or achievement stay vivid for years. Use this to your advantage. Instead of approaching new habits mechanically, engage your emotions. Celebrate progress, even if small. Attach purpose and excitement to the actions you take. Feel your future as if it were here. This emotional charge accelerates learning and deepens new neural pathways. When your brain sees something as important, it reinforces it faster. This is also why fear can be such a powerful force. It wires in survival-level urgency. But fear doesn't need to be eliminated to become limitless. It needs to be understood. It's simply a message. When you acknowledge fear without feeding it, you rob it of control. It becomes a signal, not a stopper. Many people ask, how do I become more confident, more focused, more driven? The answer is simpler than they expect. Practice those states. Don't wait to feel confident. Act as if you are, and your brain will begin to catch up. Don't wait until you're motivated. Take action even while uninspired, and motivation will often follow. Your brain trusts behavior more than intention. This is where most people fall short. They wait to feel different before they behave differently. But neuroscience shows that behavior can lead emotion just as often as emotion leads behavior. You train your mind by aligning your actions with the identity you want to grow into, not the one you're trying to outgrow. This work is not always easy. The brain prefers efficiency, and it will try to pull you back to what's familiar. But what's familiar is not always what's best. The pull toward old patterns is not a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you're stepping into new territory. That resistance. It's your brain adjusting. Keep going. And when it gets uncomfortable, remember this. Discomfort is not danger. It's the edge of your current wiring. Every time you lean into discomfort with intention, you are expanding your capacity. You are building new highways in your mental map. That's progress. That's growth. The most powerful transformations come from subtle shifts practiced with consistency. They come from noticing an old thought and choosing a new one. From recognizing a reaction and creating space for a different response. From showing up again and again, even when it's easier not to. Chapter 2. The Power of Belief. Breaking the Illusion of Limits. Your beliefs are invisible scripts. They whisper in the background of your decisions, shape your interpretation of success and failure, and define how high you allow yourself to reach. The paradox is that these beliefs often feel like facts. They've been with you so long, repeated so often, that you stop questioning them. You begin to build your life around them. And the more you build, the more they seem true. But here's the fundamental truth that changes everything. Beliefs are not truths. They are choices reinforced over time. Every belief you hold is a neural pathway that once began as an idea. Maybe it was passed down to you from parents, absorbed from your environment, created through experience, or even adopted without question. But it became a belief not because it was proven, but because it was repeated. That means a belief like, I'm not creative, can feel just as real as the sun rises in the east, even though only one of those is a law of nature. The other is a personal narrative, crafted by experiences, fears, or moments of self-doubt that became engraved into your mental identity. And yet that identity, your I am, is a construction. It is not permanent. It is not fixed. You can deconstruct it and rebuild. Think about the last time you stopped yourself from doing something because you didn't think you were capable. Maybe it was speaking up in a meeting, trying something new, or applying for an opportunity. What stopped you wasn't ability. It was a belief. A quiet thought beneath the surface that told you it wasn't for you. That belief dictated your behavior. And by not taking the action, you reinforced the belief. This is the loop that keeps people stuck. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine that instead of thinking, "I'm not ready," you believed, "I grow every time I try." That shift wouldn't just feel better, it would lead to different behavior. You would speak up. You would try. You would begin building a different track in your brain. One that says growth is possible. One that reinforces momentum, not fear. One that stretches you. This is not theoretical. Neuroscience confirms that beliefs physically alter how your brain processes information. In experiments, people who believed they were capable of performing a task activated different brain regions and produced better outcomes than those who didn't, even if both groups had the same ability level. The brain doesn't just respond to facts. It responds to what you believe is true, and then it acts accordingly. This has profound implications. It means that when you shift your beliefs, your brain literally changes the way it sees, interprets, and engages with the world. It begins filtering for evidence that matches your new belief, and in doing so, helps create the very outcomes you once thought impossible. This is the mind's self-fulfilling prophecy mechanism in action. And it's always working, whether you use it consciously or not. So how do you change a belief? You start by becoming aware of it. Most limiting beliefs are subtle. They hide beneath behavior. You'll often notice them not as loud thoughts, but as hesitation, avoidance, or self-sabotage. They show up in patterns of withdrawal, procrastination, shrinking back, or constantly needing external validation. These are the fingerprints of a belief quietly guiding your choices. To reveal them, observe yourself. Notice where in life you feel resistance. Where do you feel stuck? What are the recurring thoughts that come up in those moments? When you journal about a fear, what language do you use? Write it down. Name it. The moment a belief is named, it loses some of its grip. It goes from being part of your identity to something you're looking at objectively. And what you can see, you can change. Once a limiting belief is visible, don't try to fight it. Replace it. Create a new belief that supports your growth. But make it believable, something your mind can begin to accept with repeated exposure. If "I'm confident and unstoppable" feels fake at first, begin with "I'm learning to trust myself more every day." The goal is to create a bridge from where you are to where you want to be. That bridge is built with consistent reinforcement. This is where repetition comes in. You don't change a belief by thinking it once. You change it by planting the seed and watering it every single day. That means affirming the new belief through words, actions, visualization, and emotional reinforcement. Say it out loud. Write it down. Act as if it were already true. Feel it. Your brain will eventually catch up. Beliefs are learned through emotion and repetition, not logic. It's also important to examine where your beliefs came from. Many of the thoughts that limit you weren't created by you. They were inherited. You might carry beliefs from childhood, messages absorbed when you were vulnerable, like, "You have to be perfect to be loved," or "Don't stand out, it's safer to blend in." These beliefs served a purpose at one point. They protected you. But protection often becomes a prison. And you're no longer that child. You are capable of choosing new rules. Part of rewriting beliefs is recognizing that your past is not your fault, but your future is your responsibility. You may not have chosen the original belief, but you get to choose what happens now. Every time you take conscious control of your inner dialogue, you are rewriting your internal code. You're no longer running an old script. You're writing your own. To live without mental limits, you must question everything you think you know about yourself. Because most limits are illusions. They're agreements you made with the past. You agreed to believe you weren't smart enough, strong enough, disciplined enough. But agreements can be broken. And beliefs can be rewritten. The moment you stop identifying with your limitations, you begin stepping into your potential. You start making decisions from the perspective of who you're becoming, not who you've been. You respond differently. You show up differently. The world doesn't change, but how you meet the world does. And that makes all the difference. This doesn't mean you'll never doubt yourself. Doubt is natural. It visits everyone. The difference is whether you accept it as truth or use it as a signal to grow. People with a limitless mindset don't deny their fears, they outgrow them. They act in spite of them. They choose beliefs that fuel them instead of beliefs that freeze them. Choosing new beliefs is not about delusion. It's about alignment. If your belief system doesn't match your goals, you'll always sabotage your own progress. You'll set a target with your conscious mind and immediately hit the brakes with your subconscious. That internal war causes hesitation, fatigue, inconsistency. But when your beliefs and goals align, momentum becomes natural. You don't have to push so hard, because you're not dragging a mental anchor. As you move forward, begin asking yourself better questions. Instead of, what if I fail? Ask, what can I learn? Instead of, who am I to try this? Ask, who could I become if I did? Instead of saying, that's just not me, ask, what would it look like if it was? Questions open mental doors. Answers shape beliefs. And beliefs determine direction. One powerful tool for belief shifting is visualization. Not just picturing success, but experiencing it in your mind. See yourself acting with courage. Hear the tone of your confident voice. Feel the grounded energy of someone who knows their worth. When you immerse yourself in these images regularly, you are training your brain to believe they're possible. You are rehearsing success until it becomes a part of you. Another tool is language. The words you speak about yourself are instructions to your subconscious. Replace statements like, I always mess things up, with, I'm learning through every mistake. Replace, I'm bad at that, with, I'm improving every time I try. This isn't about being blindly positive. It's about being precise with your self-talk. Your inner dialogue builds the framework of your identity. Speak as the person you are becoming, not the person you were. Surround yourself with people who reflect the beliefs you're trying to grow into. Environment reinforces identity. If everyone around you believes in limitations, you'll have to fight harder to expand. But if you spend time around people who stretch you, uplift you, and challenge your thinking, belief shifting becomes easier. We are social learners. The people we interact with act as mirrors. Choose mirrors that reflect your highest potential. Above all, be patient. Deep beliefs don't vanish overnight, but they do soften with time and intention. They become less rigid, less loud, and eventually they are replaced by something truer, something stronger, belief in yourself. You are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are not your fears. You are the one who notices all of these. And if you can notice them, you can also transcend them. The journey of becoming limitless doesn't begin with what you do. It begins with what you believe is possible. So start there. Believe in growth. Believe in change. Believe in yourself. Not blindly, but because belief is not a promise of perfection. It is a commitment to progress. And that is more than enough. Chapter 3. Vision and Mental Imagery. Designing your future with a mind. You cannot grow into a version of yourself that you cannot first imagine. The mind doesn't move toward vague intentions, it moves toward vivid pictures. Everything you will ever become begins in thought. And not just a casual idea or a fleeting wish, but a clear mental image projected and repeated until your subconscious believes it. This is the power of mental imagery. This is the way vision becomes reality. Before anything becomes real in the world, it must become real in the mind. The greatest achievements of humanity, from space travel to artistic masterpieces to scientific discoveries, all began in someone's imagination. Every invention is born from vision. Every shift in society is sparked by someone who saw the invisible and decided to make it visible. Vision is the seed of all human progress. But vision is not reserved for the brilliant, the gifted, or the lucky. It is available to you, right now. You do not need permission to imagine a future beyond your current limits. You do not need proof that it's possible. You only need to begin building it inside your mind with enough clarity and consistency that your brain begins to organize around it. The mind cannot distinguish between a real experience and one vividly imagined. This is not speculation. It is science. And it is a tool that can elevate every area of your life, if you choose to use it. Mental imagery, when practiced with intent, has a measurable effect on the brain's structure and performance. Studies have shown that athletes who mentally rehearse their actions, down to the detail of muscles contracting and breaths being drawn, show similar neurological activity to those who physically perform the movement. Musicians use this to practice performance in silence. Speakers rehearse their message in their minds before ever stepping on stage. The brain, in response to repeated visualization, begins to form the same pathways it would during real-life execution. In other words, when you imagine the outcome and the process to achieve it, your brain builds the habit of success before you ever take the first step. Yet, visualization is not about fantasy. It is about alignment. When you consistently imagine yourself acting in a certain way, confident, disciplined, focused, your behavior begins to shift to match the inner image. You are not trying to become someone new. You are revealing the version of you that already exists beneath fear and conditioning. Vision is a tool for remembering who you are capable of being. This practice becomes especially powerful when the vision includes more than just seeing. True mental imagery engages all the senses. You don't just see your future. You feel it. You hear it. You embody it. If you visualize public speaking, imagine the warmth of the lights, the sound of your voice, the calm in your chest. If you visualize a successful business, picture your workspace, hear the emails of appreciation, feel the certainty in your decisions. The more vivid the imagery, the stronger the neurological impact. The brain begins to treat it like memory. And memories shape behavior far more powerfully than information. This is why generic goal setting often fails. A goal written on paper is useful, but incomplete. Without a mental image attached, it has no emotional weight. It doesn't speak to the subconscious. But when a goal is seen, felt, heard, and lived inside your mind, it becomes more than a sentence. It becomes a state of being. The brain begins seeking ways to bridge the gap between that imagined reality and your present circumstances. What you repeatedly visualize, you normalize. The first time you imagine a bold action, starting a business, changing careers, moving to a new city, it may feel foreign, unrealistic. But with each mental rehearsal, that image becomes more familiar, more accessible, more believable. Eventually, your brain doesn't just accept the image, it expects it. And that expectation drives action. This isn't magic. It's mental preparation. You are rehearsing for your future in advance. You are programming your mind with a blueprint. So when the opportunity arrives, you don't freeze. You move. Not because it's easy, but because it feels familiar. The biggest obstacle people face in creating their vision is that they don't believe they're allowed to want something more. They've grown accustomed to shrinking their dreams to fit their current reality. But this is backward. Your reality should expand to match your dreams, not the other way around. The first permission you need is from yourself. To want more. To imagine more. To outgrow the smallness of your current self-perception. And yes, the mind will resist at first. It will question the vision. It will pull up past failures as evidence. That's normal. The mind is designed to keep you safe, not successful. Its default is familiarity. It treats the unknown as danger, even when the unknown is where your growth lives. So your work is to persist beyond that initial resistance. To rehearse the vision until it feels safe. Until the unknown becomes the new known. You may have already experienced this in smaller ways. Think of a time you mentally rehearsed a difficult conversation or imagined how a big day would go. Your mind walked through it before your body did. That's visualization. The difference now is intention. You are no longer letting it happen randomly. You are choosing what to see. You are shaping your future by shaping your internal world. To start this practice, close your eyes and bring your future into focus. Not just the end goal, but the process. Don't only see the championship moment. See the training, the discipline, the sweat. Visualize both the outcome and the effort. This creates a balanced picture, one that prepares your mind for the real journey, not just the highlight reel. Build a mental movie of your ideal life. Where are you waking up? Who are you surrounded by? What does your work look like? How do you speak, walk, think? Let the details come alive. And don't worry if it feels awkward at first. You are building a muscle. With practice, it becomes natural. And once it becomes natural, it becomes powerful. Some days, your vision will feel distant. That's when you need it most. When reality tries to pull you back into limitation, return to the image. Not to escape, but to remember. You are not bound by what you see in the mirror. You are guided by what you see in your mind. Your vision is a form of leadership. You are leading yourself toward a future that does not yet exist. You are building what others cannot see. And that requires courage. It requires the willingness to be misunderstood, to keep believing when evidence is scarce. But the more you live your vision internally, the more external alignment begins to follow. People, resources, and opportunities start appearing. Not because the world changed, but because you did. Your perception sharpened. Your standards shifted. Your energy became magnetic. There will be days when doubt creeps in. Days when the vision seems too big. On those days, simplify. Shrink the frame. Visualize the next step. Don't worry about the whole mountain. Just see the next foothold. Feel yourself taking that step. Let that be enough. Momentum is more important than magnitude. And remember, the vision is not about control. It's not a rigid demand. It's a compass. A direction. Life will still surprise you, shift timelines, bring detours. That's part of it. But when you are rooted in vision, you can adapt without losing your way. You can navigate change without losing your center. Vision is not fantasy. It's design. It's the conscious creation of a future that reflects your values, your purpose, and your potential. You do not need anyone to validate it. You do not need proof. You only need commitment. The world you want begins in the mind you build. And the mind you build shapes the life you live. So start building. Start seeing. Start imagining not just what's possible, but what's desirable. Not just what you think you can have, but what you want to have. Not in 5 years, now. Begin feeling the future so powerfully that it pulls you forward. You are not limited by your past. You are not confined by current circumstances. You are moved by what you choose to believe is waiting for you. And once you begin living in alignment with that vision, even before it becomes real, you are already transforming. The blueprint is within you. The tools are in your hands. Close your eyes and open your future. Chapter 4. Emotional Mastery. Building Resilience and Inner Strength. Your emotions are not your enemies. They are not weaknesses to be buried or storms to be survived. They are signals. Feedback loops. Messages from within that carry valuable information about how you are interpreting the world and yourself. The people who grow the fastest, lead the strongest, and live the most fulfilled lives aren't those who feel the least. They're the ones who've learned how to listen, manage, and direct those emotions into strength. Most of us are not taught how to deal with what we feel. From a young age, many learn to suppress, deny, or escape emotions that are deemed too intense, too inconvenient, or too vulnerable. Anger is seen as dangerous, sadness as weakness, fear as failure. And over time, we internalize the idea that feeling deeply means something is wrong. So we build walls. We avoid. We numb. But what we resist only buries itself deeper, and what is buried often ends up controlling us in invisible ways. Emotional mastery begins with a shift in perspective. It is not about becoming emotionless. It is about becoming emotionally fluent. It's not about suppressing sadness or pretending you're never angry. It's about knowing what you're feeling, why you're feeling it, and how to respond in a way that honors both your humanity and your highest self. It is about having a full emotional range, and also having choice. When you lack emotional awareness, your reactions run the show. You speak out of anger. You retreat from fear. You shut down in the face of sadness. But when you begin to observe your emotions without judgment, a new possibility opens. You realize you can have a feeling without being owned by it. You can feel anger without attacking, sadness without collapsing, fear without freezing. That realization is power. The first step is presence. Most people don't notice their emotions until they've already acted on them. Emotional mastery requires slowing down enough to catch the moment between trigger and reaction. That space is everything. It's the space where growth happens. It's the space where you reclaim choice. And the more you practice finding that space, the more it expands. You become less reactive, more responsive. You become someone who doesn't just feel, you understands what feeling is trying to teach. That kind of presence creates resilience. It's not the absence of emotion, it's the ability to face it without losing your grounding. To build that kind of awareness, start paying attention to your emotional patterns. Notice how your body feels when you're stressed. Does your jaw tighten? Does your chest constrict? Emotions live in the body before they reach the brain. Your body becomes your first alert system. Learn its language. When you feel discomfort, breathe into it instead of escaping it. Ask yourself, what am I actually feeling right now? And what is this emotion asking of me? You will find that emotions, when welcomed, become brief visitors. It's resistance that makes them stay. Fear lingers not because it's powerful, but because we try to silence it without hearing it. Anger erupts when it's ignored too long. Sadness deepens when it's pushed down. But when you acknowledge what you feel, with honesty and curiosity, you begin to create a different relationship with your inner world. Emotional mastery also requires redefining strength. Strength is not the refusal to cry. It's the courage to feel without falling apart. It's the capacity to stay present with discomfort until it passes. It's the ability to choose your response, even when the moment is intense. That kind of strength is built like muscle, through repetition, through breakdown and recovery, through practice in real moments, not theory. One of the greatest markers of emotional intelligence is the ability to hold two truths at once. You can be afraid and still take action. You can feel sad and still show up. You can be angry and still remain respectful. These dual states are part of your human complexity. The mind seeks simplicity, but maturity is found in nuance. Emotional mastery does not require perfection. It requires integration. You begin to grow when you stop labeling emotions as good or bad and start seeing them as data. Just as your body gives you feedback through hunger or pain, your emotions signal unmet needs, core values being challenged, or internal conflicts. If you feel envious, it might be pointing you toward a desire you've been ignoring. If you feel resentful, it might mean a boundary has been crossed. If you feel anxious, it might mean your mind is running too far into the future. These signals are useful, if you're willing to listen. Once you understand the emotion, the next step is regulation. That doesn't mean hiding how you feel, it means directing it. Emotions are energy in motion. They want to move. Let them move. Journal. Breathe. Move your body. Speak to someone you trust. Get it out, not to unleash chaos, but to clear the internal fog. Then return to center. Always return. The people who succeed under pressure aren't immune to fear or stress. They've just trained themselves to pause, breathe, and choose. They have built emotional habits. You can do the same. Create rituals for emotional grounding. Maybe it's a breathing technique, a mantra, a cold shower, a nature walk. Find what resets you, and use it. Not just when things fall apart, but daily. Prevention is mastery. Don't wait until your mind is in chaos to begin managing it. Build the muscle now, so it's strong when you need it most. Emotional intelligence also extends beyond the self. It means understanding others. It means recognizing that every person you meet is carrying an invisible emotional world, shaped by experiences you may never see. That perspective breeds compassion. And compassion is not weakness. It is one of the most potent forms of intelligence. It creates connection. It dissolves conflict. It opens doors where argument would only build walls. To become limitless, you must be willing to expand your emotional capacity, not just to withstand pain, but to receive joy. Many people are afraid of good feelings. They sabotage success because it feels unfamiliar. They distrust happiness because they believe it won't last. They push away love because they don't feel worthy of it. Emotional mastery means not only facing the dark but also embracing the light. Allow yourself to feel fully. The more you expand your range, the more alive you become. You will not always feel motivated. You will not always feel fearless. That's not the goal. The goal is to move anyway. To know what you feel and choose your response with wisdom, not reflex. That is the difference between reaction and response. Between chaos and clarity. Between surviving and evolving. You will encounter moments that test you. Moments when your inner voice trembles. Moments when your vision wavers. In those moments, emotional mastery is your anchor. Not because you have all the answers, but because you've built a deep trust in your ability to navigate. That trust is what makes you unshakable. You will learn to trust your center more than your fear. You will learn to breathe through the intensity instead of being swept away by it. You will learn to speak from clarity rather than urgency. That's how a limitless mind is formed, not by escaping difficulty, but by staying grounded in it. This is the inner work that builds the outer results. You can have all the goals, strategies, and tools in the world, but if your emotions run you, none of them will last. Sustainable growth begins with inner leadership. And inner leadership begins with emotional fluency. When you master your emotions, you don't lose them. You lead them. You let them inform you, not control you. You let them teach you, not trap you. You become someone who knows how to feel deeply without falling apart. Someone who chooses strength with softness, focus with flexibility, confidence with compassion. The world does not need more people pretending to be unshakable. It needs more people who are real, present, and resilient. People who know their emotional world and can navigate it with grace. People who can walk through the fire of life without losing their light. You are not weak for feeling. You are strong when you choose to feel fully and still move forward with clarity and intention. That strength, practiced consistently, becomes your superpower. It becomes your foundation. And with that foundation, you can build anything. This is emotional mastery. Not perfection, but presence. Not control, but clarity. Not suppression, but wisdom. You don't need to eliminate fear to move forward. You just need to stop letting it decide your direction. You don't need to silence sadness to be strong. You just need to sit with it, learn from it, and rise after it passes. Let your emotions be part of your power. Let them fuel your depth, your drive, your connection to others. Use them as signals, not shackles. And know this, the more emotionally skilled you become, the more resilient your mind becomes. The more resilient your mind, the less life can shake you. And the less you are shaken, the more limitless you become. Chapter 5. Focus and Mental Discipline. The Gateways to Limitless Performance. There is no transformation without focus. You can have a vivid vision, empowering beliefs, and emotional strength, but without the ability to direct your attention consistently toward what matters, progress will always slip through your fingers. Focus is the gateway. It is the bridge between intention and action, between dreams and results. And yet in a world designed to fracture your attention, focus has become one of the rarest and most valuable forms of power. Your ability to focus isn't just a personality trait or a habit, it is a cognitive skill that can be trained, sharpened, and mastered. It's not something you either have or don't. It's something you build. And what makes this power so important is that whatever you give your attention to, you give your energy to. Whatever you focus on, you amplify. Attention is your currency. Spend it well. Modern life makes this especially difficult. You are bombarded by distractions engineered to capture your mind. Notifications, constant stimulation, infinite content, emotional noise, all designed to fracture your thoughts, interrupt your flow, and keep you in a reactive state. If you do not intentionally protect your focus, it will be stolen. Not just occasionally, but constantly. And a distracted mind cannot build anything of lasting significance. True focus is not just about staring at one task. It's about maintaining mental clarity, blocking out internal and external noise, and engaging fully with the present moment. It is about going deep instead of wide, immersing instead of skimming. There is a quality of attention that transforms how you do everything. When your focus is locked in, even the simplest task becomes purposeful. When it's scattered, even the most important work feels hollow. The mind craves structure. Without it, your thoughts bounce from one stimulus to another, creating mental fatigue without meaningful progress. This is why people often feel busy but not productive, stimulated but not satisfied. Their minds are active, but not directed. Their attention is spent, but not invested. To build a limitless mind, you must become the director of your focus, not the victim of your distractions. Focus is intimately tied to mental discipline. It's not enough to start strong. You must learn how to stay with what matters, even when discomfort rises, even when novelty tempts, even when emotions shift. Discipline is what allows you to show up repeatedly, with intention, regardless of how you feel. It's what carries you through when motivation fades, when excitement wears off, and when results are slow to show. Mental discipline is not the same as force. It is not about rigid willpower. It is about training your mind to value depth over stimulation, consistency over impulse, and intention over reaction. It is the quiet, unseen effort of choosing to stay with the process long after the initial thrill has passed. Discipline says, "This matters more than my mood right now. This matters more than temporary ease." In a distracted world, discipline becomes your superpower. Because while others are pulled in every direction, wasting energy, chasing dopamine hits, abandoning hard things for quick relief, you are staying centered. You are teaching your brain that short-term discomfort is worth long-term reward. And with every act of disciplined focus, you become more mentally resilient, more capable of doing hard things, more able to hold your attention in service of your purpose. But it's not about perfection. The mind will wander. Distractions will happen. The goal is not to eliminate these moments. It's to reduce their control over you. It's to shorten the distance between distraction and redirection. Every time you notice your focus slipping and gently bring it back, you are training a deeper kind of power. You are building what the ancient Stoics called sovereignty, the ability to govern your own inner world. The practice begins by removing the obvious distractions. If your phone pulls you out of flow every 5 minutes, silence it. Put it in another room. Create sacred windows of time where only one thing exists, the task in front of you. Treat those windows as non-negotiable. Do not wait until you feel ready. Do not bargain with yourself. Make focus a decision, not a mood. You must also learn to train your attention intentionally. This means not just reacting to your environment, but designing it. Shape your space for deep work. Clean the clutter. Create a rhythm. Let your brain associate certain spaces or times with certain types of mental engagement. This is not about control. It's about alignment. You're giving your mind cues to help it drop into the state you need most. Routines support focus. When your mind knows what to expect, it doesn't waste energy deciding what to do next. It slips into flow more easily. Begin your mornings with clarity. Set your priorities, know what matters, and reduce choices. Simplify your environment, so your brain doesn't get overwhelmed with unnecessary decisions. The more you protect your cognitive bandwidth, the more energy you preserve for meaningful work. Your diet, sleep, and physical movement all impact focus more than most realize. A poorly nourished, sleep-deprived, and sedentary body will produce a foggy, impulsive, and irritable mind. There is no shortcut around this. If you want a sharp, steady attention span, you must take care of the vessel carrying your brain. Exercise boosts neurotransmitters that enhance mental clarity. Sleep consolidates memory and clears mental waste. Nutrition provides the raw materials your brain needs to stay alert and stable. Another essential part of building focus is learning to work in cycles, not marathons. Your brain is not meant to operate at peak intensity for hours without pause. You need recovery to sustain performance. Use methods like the Pomodoro technique. Work in sprints of 25 to 50 minutes, then take a short break. During that time, step away. Breathe. Move. Let your mind reset. Then return with intention. This rhythm helps maintain high levels of engagement without burning out. But the deepest focus comes from aligning your attention with meaning. When what you're doing matters to you, when it reflects your values, your growth, your contribution, focus becomes natural. Not effortless, but compelling. You don't have to force it because you feel called to it. This is why purpose matters. If you don't know why you're doing something, your mind will always be looking for a way out. But when your attention is tethered to something meaningful, you will find yourself returning again and again, even through difficulty. Train your mind to seek flow. Flow is the state of full immersion. When time disappears, the sense of self fades, and you are one with the task. It is the highest form of focus. It occurs when the challenge at hand meets your current skill level, high enough to demand your full attention, but not so overwhelming that you collapse under pressure. You enter this state more often when you reduce distractions, remove multitasking, and engage deeply with what you love or value. Multitasking, despite its cultural appeal, is the enemy of focus. The human brain cannot perform two demanding tasks at once. It switches, and each switch carries a cost. You lose momentum. You degrade quality. You tire faster. Multitasking fragments your attention and trains your brain to operate in a shallow, reactive mode. True depth requires devotion to a single thing at a time. The deeper you go, the more progress you make. One of the most underestimated enemies of focus is mental clutter. When your mind is filled with incomplete tasks, unresolved emotions, and constant internal noise, even silence feels loud. That's why clarity is essential. Use tools like journaling, thought dumping, or simple lists to externalize your thoughts. Clear the fog. Organize your mind like you would a room. A clear space invites presence. A clear mind invites performance. As your focus sharpens, you will notice more. You will see patterns others miss. You will hear what people are really saying. You will feel more in tune with your own instincts. This depth of awareness is a natural byproduct of discipline. It is the sharpening of perception. It gives you an edge in every area: business, relationships, creativity, performance. You will move through the world with less noise and more signal. And still, there will be days when it's hard. Days when your mind wants to scatter. When you feel agitated, bored, or fatigued. Those are the days that matter most. Not because you must be perfect, but because every time you return to your practice, you reinforce your foundation. You teach your brain, this is who I am. This is how I show up. The reward is not just productivity. The reward is self-trust. Eventually, your relationship with focus becomes personal. It becomes a form of integrity, a form of respect. You begin to guard your attention like your most sacred resource, because it is. Everything you think, feel, create, and become flows from where your mind rests. Where your attention goes, your life follows. In a world of noise, a focused mind becomes a revolution. In a culture of distraction, discipline becomes a superpower. You don't need more time. You need more clarity, more depth, more directed effort. And that begins with training your attention, moment by moment, task by task, day by day. This is not just about working harder. It's about working cleaner, sharper, more intentionally. It's about removing what dilutes you, ignoring what doesn't matter, returning again and again to what does. That's how you build mental precision. That's how you build endurance. That's how you become limitless. Chapter 6. The Abundance Mindset, Rewiring for Possibility and Expansion. There's a quiet war happening inside most people's minds, a battle between scarcity and abundance. Not in terms of money or material resources, but in how they see the world, themselves, and what's possible for their lives. This battle is subtle. It often hides behind rational excuses, familiar fears, and social norms. But its influence is profound. Because the mindset you operate from doesn't just shape how you think. It defines what you allow yourself to receive, pursue, and believe. A scarcity mindset whispers, there isn't enough. Not enough time. Not enough opportunity. Not enough support. Not enough of you to go around. It's the internal voice that tells you to shrink, to compete, to hold back. It's the belief that success is a limited resource, that if someone else has it, there's less left for you. This mindset feeds comparison, envy, fear of failure, and hesitation. And over time, It becomes a lens through which every possibility looks like a threat. But the truth is, the world is not a zero-sum game. The universe does not run out of purpose, creativity, or fulfillment. And your potential is not capped by what others achieve. The only limits that matter are the ones you agree to. When you step into an abundance mindset, you begin to see that growth is not only possible, it's natural. That creativity is infinite. That collaboration is more powerful than competition. That your best life doesn't steal from anyone else's, it adds to the collective. Abundance is not a fantasy. It's a perspective. It's a way of experiencing life that expands your capacity to notice opportunity, to act with confidence, and to attract solutions rather than obsess over problems. It doesn't mean ignoring challenges. It means facing them with the deep knowing that there's more on the other side, that even setbacks carry seeds of wisdom, and that failure isn't the end, but a portal to refinement. People with an abundance mindset tend to take more action, not because they're reckless, but because they believe something greater is possible. They move even when they're uncertain, because their identity is rooted in growth, not guarantees. They look at change as an ally, not a threat. And because of this, their world begins to reflect their inner state. They spot patterns. They create connections. They take risks that others avoid. And over time, those small decisions compound into lives that look almost magical from the outside, but are deeply intentional from within. So how do you begin shifting into this way of thinking? It starts with awareness. Begin noticing the moments when your mind contracts, when you default to fear, jealousy, or self-doubt. What are you assuming in that moment? That you're not good enough? That someone else's win is your loss? That you're too late, too inexperienced, too unlucky? These assumptions are not truths. They are interpretations. Learned interpretations, often picked up in childhood, school systems, or environments steeped in fear-based conditioning. Once you see them for what they are, stories, you begin to reclaim choice. An abundant mind doesn't pretend everything is perfect. It simply chooses to respond from possibility instead of panic. If something doesn't work out, it asks, what's the lesson here? What else could this mean? Where is the opportunity I'm not seeing yet? These questions open mental doors. Scarcity slams them shut. Scarcity says, this is the only chance. Abundance says, there are more chances if I stay open, ready, and resilient. Gratitude is one of the most powerful tools for rewiring the brain into abundance. It's not about listing things to feel good. It's about training your mind to focus on what's working. Because whatever you focus on expands. If you constantly feed your awareness with what's missing, you deepen scarcity. But if you train yourself to recognize what's already present, growth, love, potential, resources, you activate the neural pathways that support optimism, resilience, and creative thinking. You start noticing how much more you already have than you ever realized. Start with simple rituals. Begin or end your day by writing down 3 things you're grateful for. Not just the obvious, but the small, the hidden, the easily overlooked. Gratitude doesn't eliminate difficulty, but it gives you a stronger foundation to face it. It keeps you grounded when your mind tries to spiral. It reminds you that, even in the midst of uncertainty, something inside you remains steady, aware, and whole. Another key element of abundance is how you view others' success. In scarcity, someone else winning feels threatening. Their light makes you feel smaller. But in abundance, you recognize that someone else's growth is evidence of what's possible, not a measurement of your inadequacy. You can admire without envy. You can learn instead of compare. The success of others becomes inspiration, not competition. This shift is powerful, because when you stop guarding your energy out of fear, you start investing it with freedom. You stop asking, why not me? And start declaring, that shows me it's possible. You move from victim to creator, from doubt to direction. Scarcity hoards knowledge, love, time, and support. Abundance shares. And in the act of sharing, you discover how much you truly have. A word of encouragement can shift someone's entire path. A connection made can open a new door. A generous act can create a ripple that circles back in ways you never expected. That's the nature of abundance. It grows when it's given. You must also become aware of the language you use. The words you speak about your life shape your subconscious expectations. Do you often say, "I can't afford it," "I don't have time," "things never work out for me," or "that's just how life is"? These aren't just phrases, they're affirmations of limitation. Catch them. Replace them with more empowering language. "I'm figuring out how to make this happen. I'm learning to manage my time better. I trust things are aligning for me." Speak not from illusion, but from vision. Abundance also requires trust, not blind faith, but a quiet inner knowing that life responds to effort, intention, and alignment. That when you show up with courage and integrity, doors open. That delays are not rejections. That the right things don't always come fast, but they do come when you're ready for them. This trust helps you let go of desperate energy, the kind that chases, forces, and clings. You stop grasping, and you start creating. You stop begging, and you start building. One of the most profound acts of abundance is letting go of what no longer serves you. Relationships, habits, environments, beliefs. You cannot expand while clinging to what is shrinking you. Scarcity says, "What if I don't find better?" Abundance says, "What if I do?" Releasing what's misaligned creates space for what's right. And space is sacred. It is the birthplace of all new things. You don't need to wait for some external sign to adopt this mindset. You can practice abundance while building, while healing, while learning. You don't need to be rich to feel wealthy. You don't need to be famous to feel seen. You don't need to be perfect to feel worthy. These are internal decisions, states of being that you carry with you into every room, every challenge, every opportunity. You'll still face scarcity-based thoughts. That's part of the human experience. The goal is not to eliminate fear, it's to move with more power than it. To notice when your mind shrinks and choose to expand. To recognize the old pattern and replace it with a new one. To meet the moment not as a victim of limitation but as a student of possibility. And as you live more from this state, your energy changes. People feel it. Your decisions become bolder. Your actions become more aligned. You say yes to growth more often. You trust yourself more deeply. You take up more space, not in arrogance, but in full embodiment of your potential. An abundance mindset is not naive optimism. It's mature power. It's the result of choosing again and again to see life as a process of unfolding, not diminishing. You stop waiting for proof, and you start offering it, through your choices, your energy, your consistency. You realize that there is no shortage of opportunity, only a shortage of belief. No shortage of inspiration, only a lack of presence. No shortage of magic, only minds too distracted to notice. So slow down. Tune in. Expand. You are not here to shrink. You are not here to survive on scraps. You are not here to live in fear of running out. You are here to grow, give, create, explore, connect, and contribute. You are here to express the infinite through the individual. You are here to live wide open. Abundance is not a destination. It's a way of traveling. It's how you walk, how you see, how you respond. It's not about how much you have. It's about how freely you live. And the freer your mind becomes, the more you'll realize you were never limited. You just hadn't looked beyond the walls you were taught to build. Now you can. Chapter 7. Creativity and Imagination. Igniting innovation from within. There is a force inside you that doesn't speak in logic, doesn't ask for permission, and doesn't wait for everything to make sense. It moves through flashes of insight, curious questions, and impossible ideas that defy the constraints of reality as you know it. That force is imagination, and it is one of your most powerful and most underutilized tools for growth, problem-solving, and expansion. Imagination isn't something reserved for artists or dreamers. It's not child's play. It's mental architecture. It's how humanity builds bridges to futures that don't yet exist. Every breakthrough, personal, scientific, spiritual, or social, was once the product of a mind willing to explore beyond what was already proven. And you have access to that same capacity right now. But somewhere along the way, Most people were taught to trade creativity for correctness. School rewarded answers more than questions. Systems taught you to follow steps instead of inventing new ones. And slowly, the wildness of your imagination, the part of you that used to make up entire worlds with a cardboard box, was buried under rules, routines, and expectations. The truth is, creativity never left you. It just went quiet. It waits beneath the surface of your thoughts, ready to rise the moment you create space for it. Creativity is not a luxury. It is a necessity. It's the skill of generating new ideas, seeing from new angles, combining unexpected things into something useful, beautiful, or true. And in a world that changes faster than logic can keep up with, creativity becomes survival. It becomes evolution. To become limitless, you must learn to think beyond the edges of your current frameworks. That begins with giving yourself permission to imagine. Not just casually, but deliberately. Sit with a question longer than feels comfortable. Chase a weird idea down a rabbit hole just to see where it goes. Mix unrelated concepts together and look for patterns. This kind of mental play isn't distraction, it's depth. It's how new perspectives emerge. Creativity isn't born from knowledge alone. It's born from curiosity. The best innovators aren't always the smartest. They're the most open. They ask why, even when it seems obvious. They ask what if, even when everyone else accepts the norm. They challenge assumptions. They break things and put them back together differently. And they trust that their mind can hold contradiction, complexity, and chaos long enough to shape something meaningful. One of the greatest myths about creativity is that it requires inspiration to strike. But the most consistently creative people in the world don't wait for lightning. They create rituals. They make time. They show up to the blank page, the empty canvas, the quiet room, day after day. Because they understand that creativity isn't magic, it's a relationship. The more you show up for it, the more it shows up for you. Imagination thrives in silence, in boredom, in space. But most people fear those things. They fill every pause with noise, every gap with scrolling, every quiet moment with activity. And in doing so, they starve their imagination. They numb the very stillness where breakthroughs live. If you want to reclaim your creative energy, begin by reclaiming your attention. Give yourself moments to be still, to think, to wander, to not know. The creative mind is a flexible mind. It doesn't cling to being right. It experiments. It adapts. It plays with failure instead of fearing it. And in that looseness, it finds brilliance. When you approach problems creatively, you stop asking, "What's the right answer?" and start asking, "What are all the possible answers?" You widen the frame. You stretch the boundaries. And often, the best solution isn't the most logical one. It's the one that bends the rules just enough to find a new path. One of the keys to unlocking creativity is cross-pollination, bringing ideas from one domain into another. Innovation rarely happens in a vacuum. It happens when you take what works in one field and apply it somewhere unexpected. When a musician studies neuroscience. When a scientist learns poetry. When an entrepreneur studies ancient philosophy. These intersections create sparks. They expand your mind's vocabulary and give it more tools to work with. Imagination is also deeply tied to belief. If you don't believe something is possible, your brain won't even try to imagine how it could be. Your internal limits shape your mental sandbox. This is why belief shifting is essential for innovation. The more you trust your ability to create something new, the more your mind will begin exploring territory others are too afraid to enter. And yet, creativity doesn't always feel good. Sometimes it feels like tension, uncertainty, or chaos. That's because your mind is trying to stretch beyond its comfort zone. It's rearranging itself. Don't mistake this discomfort for failure. It's a sign that your cognitive boundaries are expanding. Sit in the mess. Stay with the ambiguity. Let your imagination work in the background while you stay open. You don't need to be original to be creative. Most innovation is just combining old elements in new ways. Let go of the pressure to invent something that's never been seen before. Instead, focus on relevance, on usefulness, on expression. Creativity is not about impressing the world. It's about expressing your perspective in a way that moves something forward, even if just for yourself. The more you practice, the more you'll start to recognize your creative triggers. Maybe ideas flow when you walk, or when you listen to certain music, or when you talk things out with someone who challenges your thinking. Lean into those. Build habits around them. Creativity loves rhythm. It thrives when it knows it will be invited again tomorrow. It's also essential to release the fear of judgment. One of the biggest blocks to imagination is the question, what will people think? The moment your creative mind feels watched or judged, it begins to contract. Let it breathe. Give yourself the freedom to be ridiculous, to be wild, to be wrong. You don't owe anyone a perfect product. You only owe yourself the freedom to explore. Over time, your relationship with creativity becomes a part of your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who occasionally has good ideas and start seeing yourself as a person who creates. A person who solves. A person who invents, designs, and expresses. And that identity shift changes everything. Because the more you believe you are creative, the more you act like it. And the more you act like it, the more evidence your mind collects. Eventually, the loop feeds itself. Creative confidence is one of the most valuable traits in the world today. The ability to see beyond the obvious, to ask better questions, to design better systems, to make meaning out of complexity. This is what shapes the future. It's what builds businesses, movements, relationships, and legacies. And it starts inside your mind, in the unseen space where ideas are born. Imagination is the ultimate rehearsal space for becoming someone new. You can try on possibilities, test decisions, explore futures, all within the safety of your inner world. Use this. Visualize not just where you're going, but how it feels to be there. Imagine yourself solving the problem, finishing the project, becoming the version of you who sees clearly and acts decisively. This kind of mental rehearsal isn't wishful thinking. It's mental training. Creativity also heals. It gives you language for things you don't know how to say. It gives shape to feelings that are too big or vague or heavy to hold alone. Whether through writing, painting, movement, or conversation, creative expression is how your inner world breathes. It is how pain becomes wisdom. How confusion becomes clarity. How chaos becomes coherence. And you don't need an audience to create. The act itself is enough. You can write a page and never publish it. You can design a solution and never sell it. You can dance alone in your kitchen and still be practicing genius. Creation is not just a contribution to the world. It's an act of self-alignment. A declaration, I am not a machine. I am not a replica. I am a creator. As you move forward, remember this, your imagination is not a toy. It is a tool. One that has the power to bend your reality, reroute your future, and unlock versions of yourself that intellect alone can't access. Trust it. Make space for it. Use it, not just when things are broken, but when they're beautiful. Not just to escape, but to expand. In a world obsessed with data and logic, the creative mind is revolutionary. It is the birthplace of innovation, empathy, and transformation. It is what makes you not just productive, but alive. The more you cultivate it, the more limitless you become. Chapter 8. Emotional Intelligence and Self-Awareness. The Power of Inner Clarity. To master the outer world, you must first understand your inner world. Without that foundation, all attempts at growth become superficial. You might achieve goals, accumulate knowledge, and gain recognition, but if you remain a stranger to yourself, none of it brings true fulfillment. It's only when you begin to observe your emotions, question your reactions, and know your motivations that you develop the clarity required to lead yourself, and by extension, your life. Emotional intelligence is the hidden infrastructure behind lasting success. It's not about controlling emotions through force or suppressing what you feel. It's about developing fluency. It's about knowing what's happening inside you while it's happening and having the capacity to stay steady, even when emotions are intense. Most people are at the mercy of their emotional states. They act on impulse, speak from reactivity, and only realize what they're feeling after damage is done. Self-awareness is what changes that cycle. This awareness doesn't mean you'll always be calm. It means you'll recognize what's happening in real time. You'll sense the tension rising before the outburst, the sadness brewing before the shutdown, the anxiety forming before the avoidance. And in that awareness, you create space. You create choice. You become more than just the emotion. You become the witness to it. That alone is a profound shift in consciousness. Self-awareness is the foundation of emotional intelligence. It's the ability to tune into your own thoughts and emotions with curiosity rather than judgment. It allows you to detect patterns, how you tend to react when under pressure, how you respond to criticism, how you behave when tired, hurt, or stressed. These aren't personality quirks. They're learned reactions. And once seen clearly, they can be changed. Awareness is the doorway to transformation. What you cannot see, you cannot shift. What you cannot name, you cannot navigate. This is why emotional intelligence begins not with relationships or leadership, but with you. Until you understand your emotional landscape, every decision is influenced by unconscious programming. You'll keep repeating the same cycles, reacting to the same triggers, and wondering why nothing changes. The practice of emotional intelligence asks you to slow down and observe. To watch your inner dialogue, to notice how certain situations make you feel, not just on the surface, but in the body. Tension in the chest, tightness in the jaw, a knot in the stomach. The body is honest, even when the mind isn't. It stores signals. And when you become attuned to those signals, you begin to respond with wisdom instead of reflex. But awareness is not enough on its own. The next layer is emotional regulation. That doesn't mean bottling up your feelings or pretending you're fine. It means learning how to navigate what you feel so that you can respond instead of react. It means being able to pause when you want to lash out, to breathe when panic rises, to soothe yourself when fear tries to take over. This is not easy work. It requires patience, practice, and deep self-respect. Regulating your emotions doesn't mean suppressing them. It means listening, learning, and choosing. Anger might be trying to protect a boundary. Sadness might be revealing a loss or need. Anxiety might be showing you where your mind is tangled in the future. When you learn to decode your emotions, they become allies, not enemies. They guide you toward greater clarity, deeper needs, and areas still in need of healing. You also begin to realize that emotions are not permanent. They are temporary states, like weather systems passing through. Most people panic in the storm. They believe the emotion is their identity. I am angry. I am anxious. But you are not your anger. You are the space in which anger arises. You are not your anxiety. You are the witness to it. The moment you realize this, you stop clinging to emotional states. You learn to let them move through you without defining you. Developing emotional intelligence requires confronting discomfort. You must be willing to feel what you usually avoid. That might mean sitting with guilt instead of distracting yourself. Feeling the vulnerability behind your defensiveness. Admitting fear when you've built an identity around being fearless. This honesty is what deepens your self-awareness. And the deeper your self-awareness, the more power you have to consciously evolve. The benefits ripple into every area of your life. Relationships improve when you're emotionally intelligent because you stop projecting your unresolved emotions onto others. You stop expecting people to fix what only you can face. You communicate more clearly. You listen more deeply. You become less reactive and more compassionate. Because you understand yourself, you're more capable of understanding others. Emotional intelligence also boosts your ability to lead. People don't follow titles. They follow clarity. A leader with emotional intelligence can stay composed under pressure, adapt to unexpected challenges, and inspire others by modeling calm presence and thoughtful action. Whether you're leading a team, a family, or simply yourself, the skill of emotional regulation is a superpower. But this kind of mastery isn't developed through information alone. It requires self-inquiry. It requires space to reflect, process, and grow. Begin by asking yourself simple but powerful questions. What am I feeling right now? Where is that feeling coming from? What is this emotion trying to teach me? What need is underneath it? What action would serve me and others right now? These questions move you out of reaction and into reflection. Over time, they build a mental habit of pausing, observing, and choosing with clarity. You stop being hijacked by every emotional impulse. You start navigating life with groundedness. One of the keys to emotional growth is learning how to hold contradictory emotions. You can feel confident and uncertain at the same time. Grateful and grieving. Peaceful and restless. Most people think they have to choose one emotional state and reject the rest, but real maturity is about integration. Emotional intelligence expands your capacity to feel more, without being overwhelmed. It also teaches you how to be kinder to yourself. Most internal suffering comes not from the feeling itself, but from the judgment you place on it. I shouldn't feel this way. This makes me weak. I should be past this already. These thoughts add a second layer of pain. But when you meet your emotions with compassion, like you would with a struggling friend, you begin to heal faster. You begin to trust your inner world instead of fearing it. Self-compassion is not indulgence. It's intelligence. It calms the nervous system. It clears the mind. It strengthens your resilience. When you learn how to be on your own side, no matter what, you stop abandoning yourself in hard moments. That loyalty to yourself becomes a foundation you can build anything on. Another aspect of emotional intelligence is understanding how your emotions affect others. You don't live in a vacuum. Your energy, tone, and behavior impact every room you walk into. An emotionally intelligent person is aware of that impact and takes responsibility for it. They don't blame others for their mood. They don't manipulate with guilt, silence, or outbursts. They communicate. They own their part. And because of that, people trust them. You cannot fake emotional intelligence. People feel your presence. They sense whether you're grounded or performing. When you've done the work to understand and regulate yourself, it radiates. You become someone others feel safe around. Someone they want to follow. Someone they respect, not just for what you do, but for who you are. And still, this journey is never finished. Emotional mastery is not a final state. It's a lifelong practice. You will still get triggered. You will still react. You will still forget, fall, and fumble. But with self-awareness, you'll recover faster. You'll repair better. You'll grow deeper. You'll continue becoming. This is the essence of being limitless. Not that you never struggle, but that you know how to return. You know how to self-correct. You know how to navigate complexity with grace. Because you know yourself. Not the mask, not the role, not the past version, but the truth. And from that place, anything becomes possible. When you cultivate emotional intelligence, you don't just improve your performance. You expand your humanity. You become more present, more connected, more whole. You stop chasing freedom from your emotions and start creating freedom within them. Let that be your goal, not to feel nothing, but to feel everything with wisdom. Chapter 9. The Power of Rest, Sleep, Recovery, and Mental Clarity. In a culture that worships productivity, rest is often seen as weakness. Slowness is labeled as laziness. Stillness is misunderstood as stagnation. But nothing could be further from the truth. If you are to train your mind to become limitless, then you must first unlearn the lie that growth only comes through constant motion. In reality, some of your greatest breakthroughs happen in moments of silence. Some of your most essential transformations occur not when you're doing more, but when you pause long enough to process, reflect, and renew. The mind is not designed to run endlessly. It's not a machine built for uninterrupted output. It's an organic, dynamic system, brilliant, but sensitive. It thrives in cycles. Input, then integration. Challenge, then recovery. Effort, then restoration. Without rest, your ideas become dull. Your focus fractures. Your creativity dries up. And perhaps most dangerously, your sense of self becomes tangled in your ability to perform. You cannot become limitless by pushing past your biological limits. You become limitless by honoring them, mastering them, and working with them instead of against them. Nowhere is this more obvious than in the role sleep plays in your cognitive and emotional performance. Sleep is not downtime. It is deep work, quiet, hidden work that clears mental clutter, restores your emotional baseline, and regenerates your capacity for insight. Every night, your brain conducts a kind of cleaning cycle. It consolidates memories. It solves problems. It flushes out toxins that build up during wakefulness. Without this reset, your brain loses precision, agility, and clarity. Even a single night of poor sleep impairs your decision-making, emotional regulation, and ability to retain new information. Sleep is foundational to every other tool in this book. Without it, your focus strategies fall flat. Your emotional intelligence wanes. Your belief work gets clouded. Your vision blurs. You can't think like a limitless human while running on the margins of exhaustion. You don't have to earn rest. You have to protect it. In our hyper-connected world, many people treat sleep like a problem to solve, something to compress, hack, or postpone. But deep recovery requires rhythm, not resistance. Your nervous system operates on cycles. Your circadian rhythm, a roughly 24-hour internal clock, regulates when you feel alert and when you feel sleepy. If you constantly disrupt this rhythm, your brain suffers. But when you begin to honor it, sleeping at consistent times, waking with natural light, winding down before bed, you send a powerful signal to your body. I am safe. I am steady. I am worthy of care. This matters. Because when your body feels unsafe, physiologically, not logically, it enters a survival state. Cortisol rises. Focus narrows. Creativity shuts down. Your mind becomes reactive, not expansive. This state is useful in short bursts, but unsustainable for deep, meaningful work. Chronic stress without recovery leads to burnout, emotional volatility, and disconnection from purpose. Recovery isn't just about sleep. It's also about daily restoration. Moments throughout the day when your nervous system can recalibrate. That could be a walk without your phone. A few minutes of slow breathing. A silent room. A conversation with no agenda. Anything that lets your mind breathe. The more frequently you reset your system, the more energy you have to give. This is the paradox of high performance. Those who rest the deepest often create the most. Many people resist rest because they confuse urgency with importance. They believe that being constantly busy means they're making progress. But busyness is not the same as impact. Doing more is not the same as doing better. True productivity comes not from how
much time you feel, but from the quality of energy you bring to your tasks. And that energy depends on your ability to renew. Mental clarity is the result of consistent recovery. It is the ability to see through complexity and identify what really matters. When your mind is fagged by exhaustion, everything feels equally urgent. You overthink. You second-guess. You chase distractions. But when you are well-rested, you return to center. You move with intention. You access deeper levels of intelligence, the kind that don't shout, but whispers the truth through intuition. Creativity also depends on rest. The greatest ideas often don't come in the middle of effort, they arrive in the quiet moments after it. In the shower. On a walk. During a long drive. When the conscious mind relaxes, the subconscious mind steps forward. It begins connecting dots, solving problems, surfacing insights. If you never create that space, you cut yourself off from your most original thinking. This is why some of the most brilliant minds throughout history fiercely protected their downtime. Einstein took long walks. Nikola Tesla napped daily. Maya Angelou wrote in the morning and rested in the afternoon. They understood that output must be balanced with input, and that their minds were not factories, but gardens. Gardens don't grow by force. They grow by rhythm, light, nourishment, and rest. You might think rest will slow your momentum, but it actually multiplies it. Not just by refilling your energy, but by shifting your mindset. Rest reminds you that you are not a machine. You are not valuable only when you are achieving. You are inherently worthy, even in stillness. Even when nothing is being produced. This is a hard truth to accept in a world that measures people by what they do. But the moment you anchor your worth in your being, not just your doing, everything changes. You stop chasing exhaustion as a badge of honor. You stop glorifying burnout as proof of commitment. You start setting boundaries, not out of selfishness, but out of self-respect. And in doing so, you teach others todo the same. Rest also builds resilience. When your system is depleted, even small challenges feel overwhelming. But when you are rested and centered, you meet stress with presence, not panic. You bounce back faster. You make better decisions. You hold your ground under pressure. Resilience is not about never falling, it's about recovering quickly. And recovery is only possible when you create a space for it. Your relationship with rest is ultimately a reflection of your relationship with yourself. If you deny yourself rest, you are denying your own basic needs. You are operating from a place of unworthiness, fear, or hypervigilance. But when you prioritize recovery, you are affirming your own humanity. You are saying, I matter. My well-being matters. My presence matters more than my production. So how do you begin? Start small. Choose one or two areas to reclaim your energy. Create a consistent sleep schedule and protect it like you would an important meeting. Reduce screen time an hour before bed. Dim the lights. Read something nourishing. Let your mind detach from stimulation. If you wake up feeling groggy, examine your routine. Look at your nutrition, your stress levels, your sleep environment. Small changes compound. Integrate micro moments of recovery into your day. Take short breaks every 90 to 120 minutes. Walk, stretch, breathe, or simply step outside. Let your nervous system reset. Even 2 minutes of intentional breathing can lower stress hormones and increase mental clarity. These pauses are not wastes of time, they are investments in your effectiveness. And most importantly, examine the beliefs you carry about rest. Where did you learn that stopping means falling? Who told you that rest is laziness? These are inherited beliefs, not universal truths. You are allowed to rewrite them. You are allowed to build a new definition of success, one that includes restoration, reflection, and renewal. You will find that the more you rest wisely, the more access you have to your full self. Your insights deepen. Your patience returns. Your ability to listen, to create, to solve, and to love all grow stronger. Rest reveals what hustle hides, your clarity, your essence, your direction. You are not here to run yourself into the ground. You are here to rise, again and again, but with sustainability, with strength, and with softness. That balance is what makes your power real. In the end, a limitless mind is not a restless mind. It is not a mind addicted to effort or output. It is a mind that understands rhythm. That honors seasons. That works in waves. That knows when to push and when to pause. You don't become a limitless by doing more than everyone else. You become a limitless by knowing when to do nothing at all. Chapter 10. Integration Living the Limitless Life. There comes a point in any journey where the goal is no longer to learn more, gather more, or chase more, but to become. The lessons are there. The tools have been laid out. The knowledge exists within you now. What remains is integration. Not the acquisition of more techniques, but the embodiment of everything you've already begun to remember, that you are not limited by what has been, you are liberated by what you now choose to become. Living a limitless life isn't about intensity, it's about consistency. It's not about racing ahead, it's about returning, again and again, to what matters most. There will be no final transformation. No fireworks moment where everything aligns forever and you never struggle again. That illusion is the trap. The real shift happens when you realize that mastery is not a finish line, it's a way of walking. You become limitless the day you stop waiting to feel ready. The day you stop seeking permission. The day you stop needing external validation to trust what you already know inside. You won't always feel certain. You won't always feel strong. But when you make the decision to live in alignment with your values, your vision, and your higher self, even when it's uncomfortable, you step into your full power.
Integration means taking everything you've learned and living it when no one is watching. It means practicing focus in the quiet moments, not just when you're on stage. It means choosing emotional intelligence not when it's easy, but especially when you're tired, frustrated, or triggered. It means honoring rest even when the world tells you to grind. It means seeing your imagination not as a weekend luxury but as a daily strategy. It means embodying your beliefs, not just speaking them. This kind of life doesn't demand perfection. It invites presence. It calls you to tune in, to notice when you drift from yourself, and to return without shame. To catch the old voice of doubt and meet it with a new, empowered narrative. To recognize when fear tries to make you small, and to gently choose expansion instead. Day by day, moment by moment, you keep choosing. That's integration. That's the work. That's the life. You are not here to execute a rigid system. You are here to evolve into your own rhythm. Every chapter of this journey offered you tools, but they are not formulas. They are invitations, starting points, templates to help you build your own inner framework. What matters now is not how perfectly you use them, but how intentionally you live with them. Let your beliefs be your foundation. Make them living truths, not static affirmations. The belief that you can grow, adapt, and change no matter your past. The belief that your thoughts can be trained, your emotions understood, your focus sharpened. The belief that your vision matters, and that you have every right to imagine a reality beyond your current one. That belief alone can reroute your entire destiny, if you water it every day. Let your focus become your compass. The ability to hold your attention is a sacred power in a distracted world. Treat it as such. When you drift, don't criticize, recenter. When chaos comes, don't panic, breathe. You will not always be perfect in your focus, but you can always return to it. It's not the breaks in attention that define you, it's how quickly you recover your direction. Let your emotions guide, not govern. Emotional mastery doesn't mean detachment. It means intimacy with your inner world. You've learned how to feel fully without being consumed. Now trust that capacity. You can hold discomfort without collapsing. You can meet pain without losing your light. Let this be your strength, that you no longer fear what you feel, that you can face life with an open heart and a steady mind. Let your imagination build bridges. No innovation, no art, no growth has ever come from pure logic alone. It is your creative mind that leads you to new terrain. Keep it alive. Feed it often. Give yourself space to daydream, sketch, play, explore. That's not a break from growth. That is growth. Your imagination is the rehearsal space for your future self. Use it. Let your rest be your anchor. You've learned that burnout is not a badge of honor. That rest is not the opposite of work, but the fuel for it. Honor your body. Create boundaries. Protect your energy as fiercely as you protect your ambition. Let silence be part of your success. Let slowness be part of your strategy. You will go further by recovering well. And let your identity evolve. You are not the person you were when this journey began. You've shed beliefs, built new ones, softened in some places, grown stronger in others. This evolution may feel subtle. You may still have days where you question everything. But that's not regression, it's refinement. Growth doesn't always look like fireworks. Sometimes it looks like being able to hold your center in a storm. Like being kinder to yourself on a hard day. Like trusting the process even when you don't see the result yet. Living the limitless life is not about grand gestures. It's about micro-decisions made over and over. Choosing curiosity over defensiveness. Choosing clarity over chaos. Choosing intention over impulse. Choosing presence over performance. These are the choices that rewire a life from the inside out. You may not see the results immediately, but they are compounding beneath the surface. There will be seasons when it feels easier. Times when momentum carries you. When everything flows. Savor those moments. Let them remind you of what's possible. But don't make the mistake of assuming that ease is the goal. Challenge is not the enemy, it's the opportunity. It's the resistance that makes you stronger. It's the tension that gives birth to transformation. Don't fear the stretch. That's where the breakthrough lives. You'll also face resistance, not just from within, but from the world around you. People who haven't done this work might not understand your mindset. They may feel triggered by your clarity, confused by your calm, or skeptical of your vision. Let them. You don't need to convince anyone of your path. Walk it. Embody it. Let your results speak for themselves. And remember this, living a limitless life is not about constant expansion. It's about alignment. It's not about always doing more, it's about doing what matters most. It's about choosing to live consciously, courageously, and creatively in a world that tries to seduce you into numbness. It's about staying awake to your own power and grounded in your own truth. So check in with yourself. Regularly. Ask, what am I building? Who am I becoming? What am I tolerating that no longer fits the person I'm choosing to be? What would it look like to live 1% more in alignment today? You don't have to change everything overnight. You only have to keep moving. Keep choosing. Keep returning to the path that feels like home to your highest self. Let this final insight carry you. You are not chasing greatness. You are remembering it. You are not searching for worth. You are revealing it. You are not trying to become someone else. You are peeling away the layers that kept you from being fully you. That's what it means to live limitless. Not to be invincible, but to be unshakably you. Aligned, present, empowered, awake. You've been given the tools. You've practiced the shifts. Now comes the life. Let it be bold. Let it be brave. Let it be yours. And every time you forget, every time you fall or question or stall, just return. Return to the breath. Return to your why. Return to what's real. Because the limitless life doesn't begin out there. It begins in you.